Married people, what did you not find out about your so until after you got married? I didn't realize until after we lived together that she can't keep the bathroom floor dry. When she showers, I feel as though half of the time she points the shower head at the ground outside the shower. When she gets out, I imagine her shaking her body off in canine fashion. If she washes her face at the sink, I visualize her saying, "1 handful of water for me, 1 handful for you," to the floor. Edit, thanks for the gold. I'm going to heat it up to 2000 degrees and pour it on the bathroom floor to see how she likes it. I know this is weird, but my boyfriend made a similar accusation of me when it comes to face washing. And I responded with, "But the sink is so small." This turned into an argument, and I ended up having to literally demonstrate how I wash my face. I showed him how I leant right over the sink. Anyway, after that he agreed. The sink was too small. We now live in a different house. With a bigger sink. Life is peaceful. This is absolutely hilarious. I laughed imagining that last line. Not about my so but about me. Apparently I have a birthmark on my ass that looks just like a shit smear. I didn't know that until 2 weeks into the marriage. She tells me about my permanent skid mark and that I saw it when we first started dating, and I really did think it was poo. It took me seeing it 3 or 4 times before I realized it was a birthmark. See, I'll always love you. God, I love that woman. Update. Just talked to my dad, who admitted he has the same birthmark. I guess it's in our bloodline to have shit permanently smeared on our asses. Not married but may as well be. Smile. He has a watermelon problem. Like, he will sit down and eat an entire fucking 12-pound watermelon, then get very ill, spend half the day pissing, complain about his awful stomach ache, curl up and writhe around for a while. Then go back to scavenging the rind for any bits he missed. He is a 100-pound Irish dude. I don't know how this addiction hasn't killed him. I didn't find out about it until last year. We've been together for 7. I need to supervise him when we go shopping, so he only buys the mini watermelons. If I leave him alone, he buys the biggest one he can find. I mean, watermelons are delicious, but dear God, that she doesn't close any doors. Getting a glass for a drink, door stays open. Getting silverware, drawer stays open. Taking a shit, door stays open. It's 4 AM and you are getting ready for work. What's that? A goddamn fucking dresser drawer. Hello shitty human in. Woman fucking close shit. When I was about 20 and my parents had been married for 29 years, my mom said she was going to make squash with supper. My dad's response was to say no thank you. I never want squash again. My mum was all WTF. My dad's response was that he had eaten it because A, she liked it, and B, if you want your kids not to be picky eaters, you suck it up and eat whatever is served. We were all astounded. Mine did the same. When last of us kids was out of the house, he turned to my mom and said, "No more vegetables please." He was a meat and taters kinda guy. She'd wanted us raised on everything, and a decade spread from youngest to oldest. So 3 decades of disguising his distaste for us. I met my husband online on Cupid. I found out right before we got married, after dating for 5 years and living together for 3, that the picture of him posted on the site was staged, a profile of him using a camera timer in his room alone while holding a beer and talking to no one. I don't know which cracks me up more, that I couldn't tell or that he kept the secret for so long. Not marriage, but after engagement. His father brings us to a meeting to explain to me that my now husband is the 23rd generation firstborn son since the beginning of the family, thus insinuating that I would be fucked if I didn't give birth to a boy. We have a daughter. Edit. Wow, this blew up. For your record, my husband's father's family is from Korea, not China. It seems to be a rural Asian thing because my great-grandmother, who is Japanese, experienced something more or less similar. My dad's side is Vietnamese and gives 0 fucks, as long as the baby is healthy and has all limbs attached. Yes, this is a thing. Yes, we're both aware of how science works. My husband didn't know about his family history. Apparently it's only revealed when the son gets a wife. nor does he care. We still have the smartest, sweetest, and badassest child ever. I didn't learn this until after 17 years of marriage. My wife passed away. At the funeral I met her ex-husband, her 22-year-old son who she hadn't seen for 19 years, and her other 20-year-old son who she gave up for adoption, from a different father. I never knew any of them existed until the night before the funeral when her best friend asked if I minded if they came. Yes. It was awkward. She never had spoken of them. The closest she came to admitting it was when we were dating and she said, "Don't believe a word my sister says. She tells everyone that I'm divorced and had 2 kids." 17 years later I found out that was the truth. Edit, obligatory crap. This blew up. She had died suddenly, so I was in shock at the funeral, and A, didn't want to be a dick and not let them pay their respects. And B, I wasn't really in a clear mind that day and just said, "Sure, and hi, sorry to meet like this." We dated for 2 years before getting married, and I only met her mom and sister. Her parents had been divorced after her dad beat her, so I never met him. Her sister was on probation for embezzlement and was a huge liar. That's for another time. Her mom passed away after we got married, and her sister ended up going to prison, so no. We never interacted with any other of her family. We were married 10 years, before we had a daughter, and at no time with the doctor, in my presence, did she indicate that she had been through any of this before. Needless to say, I have trust issues now, although I haven't been in any other relationships yet. My daughter was young when my wife passed, so I didn't tell her any of this now, but I will when she gets older and is capable of understanding. And yes, I'm doing fine. I was angry with my wife on many levels when she passed, but she left me with a beautiful daughter that made up for everything else. And I'm doing okay now. My husband has some kind of crazy allergic mutation that makes lemons like sulfuric acid on his tongue. For serious. His tongue gets burned. To be fair, he didn't know that was unusual until after we got married. My fav dessert is lemon bars and he thought I just liked burning my own face off. Cute twist. He would still make and eat lemon bars with me every year for my birthday until we found out. Then he got lemon banned. A few years ago, after about 15 years as a couple, 7 years of marriage and 1 child together, I accidentally found out that my husband is a huge Star Trek fan. I walked into our bedroom one day and he quickly changed the TV station, so naturally I asked what he was watching. He reluctantly confessed, and was obviously very embarrassed to have to tell me that he watches Star Trek all the time when he is alone. I find it hilarious that he was so embarrassed about that after all those years. To this day he won't watch the TV show or older movies with me. He says I ask too many questions. Edit. Guys, you're cracking me up with all the porn comments. But seriously, an adult man occasionally watching porn in his alone time is nothing worth mentioning in a thread about things you learned about your spouse after you were married. The funny part here is that he is more embarrassed about his Star Trek viewing habits than watching porn. While we were dating, my husband always told me this story about how he used to race dirt bikes and wrecked one time so badly that he had to have surgery to reconstruct his nose. I had wondered why he looked so different in his younger pictures. Anyway, it wasn't until we had been married several years that his mother heard me mentioning that story and how scary that must have been for her, worrying about her son ... and she didn't know what I was talking about. The truth was that he never wrecked a dirt bike and his nose looked different because he had been ashamed of his larger than average Italian nose, so she saved up her money to buy him a nose job. Not me, but my cousin changed her last name to her husband's 10 days after they met. She didn't tell him this until they were married for 3 years and had a kid already. She said that, looking back on it, it looks psychotic. Yet, getting your name changed after filling out the paperwork for being a teacher is apparently a bitch to do. She figured she met the one, not Jet Li, so she took his last name. I couldn't stop laughing as she told me this story. Just wanted to share that. Edit. Oh wow, Didn't expect that kind of reaction. Let me see if I can answer a few questions. I will ask about the entire legality of their marriage. I honestly don't know nor considered that when she was telling us this. I just kept thinking about how effing crazy that was. And what cousin/aunt/uncle was going to top that story? Her husband was not aware that she had changed her name. He knew her under her maiden name, and presumed things like surnames were automatically changed on the marriage license. The one is Jet Li. The only good thing to stem from the Matrix is the animatrix. If I were to reference the Matrix, I'd post on /b/. Changing your name is not very difficult, it's just time consuming. In California, and other states, there is the usage method. Sum it up, keep signing for your packages at John T. Superman and anything the state or federal government send to you. You're now John T. Superman. Sadly enough, due to national security issues, this isn't so easy anymore. Still possible, though. My cousin did not marry Keanu Reeves, although strange things are afoot at the Circle K.